I'm going to be colouring a digital stamp from the East Wind called Lucy Lou. I have printed it on Express It blending card, and I am going to use Copic markers today. So we're going to start today using the Lucy Lou image from the East Wind. I am going to finish off the hair. I have started the hair previously in another video just to give an example of how to do that. So we'll just start today by finishing off this picture for you. I'm going to start with the hair and then I'll move on to the other parts of the face for you as well, and also do the flowers today. So first of all, we're going to start with my darkest colour, which I'm using R37, and I'm just going to start with doing the hair here. So I'm going to start with doing small lines out towards the highlight area. So I'm just going to do this side first, and then I'm going to come across to the other side of this section of hair, and I'm going to bring them back towards the other way. Any objects that are sitting on the hair, I'm just going to go around those to have a deeper shadow around them, and then do my lines from there out. So just treating each part as a section and working my way through each part there. So as I'm doing the small lines, I will curve them in the direction that the hair goes. So up a little bit further when it curves, I'll curve those lines around. And also I'm just doing darker shadows where the hair looks like it's overlapping anywhere. So underneath each part or section of that plait, I'm just going to make sure I line that edge piece. Now I've just realised that I've actually gone over the face area with that colour, which wasn't actually meant to happen, but I'll come back and I'll fix that up later. I'm just going to fill in some more of these lines before I fix that. So I'm just going to fix up that line on the face there now. I'm just going to bring in my clear blending marker, and I am going to use the chiseled tip. Okay, and I'm just going to push the colour back in towards that flower, because I will be doing this flower a purple or a burgundy color later on, it doesn't matter that I'm going to push that color into that flower. It will look okay. Now, because the face is actually going to have a shadow area there as well, you aren't going to be able to see that that line at all once I've finished. So I'm just going over it now with that blending pen, and I'm just pushing the ink towards the flower. So what it does is it slowly pushes that pigment into, it moves it basically into the flower. So that's how it looks now. It'll dry off and there'll be a slight colour difference in the face there, but as I said, I'm going to put my E04 in there, which is just shadow colour, so you won't actually be able to see that. I'm now just going to move on to the rest of the shadow areas of the hair and just doing those little lines in towards the highlight section there with my R37. So you'll notice in some areas I actually extend the line all the way under a piece of hair. So sometimes with hair you'll have some that's folding over the top of other hair, like at the top there's quite a large bulb on top of the hair, but there's still hair sitting underneath that. So there I've done a full line and done my little lines out from that full line. So up the top here, it's quite a large piece of hair. So I'm actually going to create my own dip in the hair with the marker. So what I'll do is where I can see that there would be a dip and then a rise in the dip part, I'll just fill in some color there and do the lines out from there. So you can see that coming up here as I do this next part, that I need, the area is so large, I need to put a dip in it to be able to get and extend these lines out towards the highlight area. So just here I'll create the dip. As you can see, I've started in the middle of the hair there and come back the other way to create a dip in the hair. So that's where it's still darker and the hair's leaning down and it's still coming out towards a highlight area. So in large areas of hair like that, you can do that to create that look of a wavy hair. So I'm coming in now with the next lightest color, which is R46, and I'm just going to go over the top of those lines, repeating exactly what I've done the previous time, just going over it with this color and just extending the color a little bit further out towards the highlight. So you can already see with the first layer that we've already created a highlight look. We're just now going to deepen those shadows, and that will help pop out the highlight part. So we're really starting now to create that look of wavy hair, giving it some highlights and giving it body and volume. So now I'm coming in with R85 and I'm going to go over all the previous color again. Same thing, doing the little lines out and then extending them further in towards the highlight area. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. So I'm going to come in with our second last light color now. We're looking at R83 and I'm just going to go over the previous color and just keep filling in until in towards the highlight area and creating that nice looking shadow. It is starting to look really good now. I have noticed though with this particular color, it is hard to see in some areas where I've done the next level of colour. So just as you go along with this and you notice a bit that might be a bit darker, just come back in over with the proper colours, fill that in a bit, and then move on to the next part. So that does happen with colouring. You're colouring along and then you get to a spot and you realise, oh, I've missed a bit, or I've gone over the wrong part here with, for example, with the skin before. So just go back in with all the colours that you've used previously and just fill out those parts as you go. So you'll notice that I have taken off the both caps on this marker. Just wanted to remind you why I've done that. It is because the marker's fairly new. There is a lot of ink in there. It is very juicy, I guess you would call it. So as I was starting to colour in that, I could see that the colour was going to flood through. So I've just taken the cap off the other end, and that's actually stopped that from happening now. Now I've had a camera mishap, so I have swapped pictures over for the purpose of showing you the face and the leaves. So you will notice that there's no mark on her face, and that's because I have swapped the picture over just to show you those things. But I'm coming in now with the lightest hair colour, which is RV02, and I'm just going to go over the highlight areas with this now. Okay, so I am just following the same technique as before, doing those little lines out towards that highlight area and now obviously over it because we're extending it further into it. And I'm doing that all over the hair, so just coming from the shadow area into the highlight area. So I'm finishing up with that colour now, and I'm going to come back in with the darkest colour, which was R37. And I'm going to go over the shadow areas and extend this further out. I'm also going to use this colour to go out over all the wispy parts of hair as well. So I'll do that just doing the little wisps. You can add more wisps as you go as well. You don't have to just follow what the artist has done. Anything that you want to do, you can add to that, of course. Now, I'm actually not going to do a background today either because I like the colour of the hair. I want it to really stand off the page, so I've actually kept it white for that reason. So now I finished up with that colour, I'm going to come in with R46. I did miss a little bit of hair at the top there, so I'm just going to go back over that as I go. So finishing up with that colour now, I'm going to come in with the highlight colour because I'm fairly happy with those shadow areas now. I'm just going to go over that highlight roughly with the RV02 and just fill it in a little bit more there and just fix up that top part of that hair that I missed. And then I'm going to go into the leaves for you. So now I've finished with the hair, I am going to move to the eyebrow. So I'm going to use R37 and I'm just going to do the edges of the brow. And now we're going to go in a little bit further with R46 and just on the edges bringing it into the middle. And then the next lightest colour, which is going to be R85. Popping that in the middle. And then we've got R83, which is almost into the middle now. And then of course we've got the last colour, which was RV02, which I'm going to do over the remainder of the eyebrow and over the dark colours there. So that's the eyebrows done and the hair's done. I'm now going to start with the skin, so I'm starting with E04 in all the shadow areas first. And then I'm coming over that colour with the E11 and blending that out. The next colour I'm using is E21 and I'm just blending that out further now. So I'm blending it over the top of all the previous dark colours. I'm just using that E21 to create some shadows and shapes on the face as well. And I'm going to come over the top of that colour with E00. Now we're going to bring in our E000 and we're going to go over the entire face again with this. So blending from the highlight area all the way out to the shadow areas all over the face. Okay, so now we're going to go over with our second layer. So we're starting with E04 again, and we're just going to deepen up those shadow areas now. And then we're going to bring in our E11 over the top of that and blend it out a bit more. And now we've got E21 to go out a little bit further. And then we're going to go to E00 and go over the shadow areas again and bringing it out a little bit further. So it's starting to look quite smooth now, which is really good. And then we've just got our last colour coming up now, which will be E000. And then we'll just do the E000 over the entire face there. Okay, so we finished all the skin areas. I am just going to put some eyeshadow in. So I'm going to use G02 first, just on the edges of the eyes. Okay, so I'm just going to bring in some pink tones on the remainder of the eyelids there. So I'm going to use R20 for that. And then I'm just going to blend it out with YG21. Now I've had to go over the GO2 quite a fair few times to get it to blend in nicely. And then I've just done the other side there as well. I've also done the remainder of the lid where I had put the R20 and just underneath the eyes as well there. So now I am going to bring back in the E000 and I'm just going to go over the top of all that just to give it a nice smooth blend. Okay, now I'm going to start with the leaves. So I'm using BG07 and I'm just going to line the lines of the leaf and just a little bit of the shadow area where it's sitting on the hair there. And I'm just coming in with BG05 and I'm just going to blend that out a little bit and move the shadow area up into the middle of the leaf a little bit more. And then I've got some GO2 and I'm just going to blend that even further out towards the edge of the leaf. So I'm only leaving a small gap for the highlight or the remaining colour that I've got, which is a highlight colour. So yeah, just filling most of the leaf with this one and just leaving a gap on the edges there. So I am going over the top of all of the BG colours as well there. And I'm coming in with the last colour now, which is YG21, and I'm just dabbing that over the entire leaf, including the highlight area. You can go over this again with another layer if you would like. Okay, so I'm now going to head to the flowers. So the first colour I'm going to use is V09, and I'm just going to line the petals of the flower here. So I'm just going to come around each of those petals where the shadow would be and just put in this V09. Okay, now I'm just going to do the bottom flower here. I'm just going to do exactly the same thing. This flower is curling in a little bit, so I will put some on the bottom of the curled in leaves there as well, and then move out and do all the shadow areas as well. I'm now going to blend that out with V17, and I'm just kind of dabbing the colour on because the flowers are quite small. It's really hard to get heaps of detail in there, but I'm just sort of dabbing over the top of the previous colour and bringing it out a little bit further. I'm just bringing in V25 now, and I'm just dabbing out a little bit further into the highlighted area. Now I'm just going to bring in V22, and I'm just going to go over the remaining part of the petals and the shaded area as well. So the whole flower will now be taken up by this colour. Now, I was a little bit underwhelmed by this colour, so I actually added another colour into it. I'm adding RV06, and I'm just going to go over the entire flowers with this colour, and it did just brighten it up that little bit more just to stand out. Well, that's Lucy Lou done. I hope you liked her, and I would love it if you could subscribe if you'd like to get notifications of when the next video is uploaded. I just want to thank the East Wind for this image. Thank you so much for listening today.